Hello, Brooklyn. I'm Ati Kagan, Democratic District Leader in 45th Assembly District in Southern Brooklyn. And tonight we are going to talk about community relations. Brooklyn is a beautiful borough. We live in the center of the universe. It's almost 3 million people. It's every nationality, religion, race possible. So it's a home to so many communities. And everything should be okay. We should not even talk about it. It should be automatic. But unfortunately, nothing is automatic in this life. And in order to improve community relations, in order for people just to talk to each other, just to acknowledge each other, just to learn about each other, sometimes it requires a very, very hard work. So tonight we are hosting a forum. It's called United We Stand. How Brooklyn communities can talk to each other, can cooperate for our better future and for our better presence, actually. And I invited tonight to this beautiful studio many prominent community leaders from every neighborhood of Brooklyn. They are already working on the ground, like we like to talk grassroots, bringing people together. That's why I invited all of them. I wanted to introduce all of my guests, and then each one of them will share their experience. So I wanted to introduce great leader in Pakistani American community. Her name is Iram Hanif. I want her to say a few words.
Thank you, Ari. My name is Iram Hanif. I am Program Director at Apna Adal Daycare Center and Apna Brooklyn Community Center. We are basically a community center, and we are helping our community members in applying for their entitlements. Basically, I just want to give a little brief how we incorporated and how we established. So basically, initially we started a senior center by the name of Apna Adal Daycare Center. When we started a senior center in Brighton Beach, on Brighton 7th Street, people started coming to us, and there were so many difficulties because of the language, because of culture, and because of religion. They were not able to navigate through the social system. So we identified the need of having a community center in the Brighton Beach area, and we established a community center. So through our community center, we help them in applying for so many benefits and entitlements when it comes to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, disability, or food stamp. So this is a little brief about what we are doing at a community center. Over to the next.
My name is Ingrid Joseph, and I'm a civil court judge and the supervising judge of the civil court in Brooklyn, located at 141 Downing Street. It's known as the People's Court, where we address all the issues that affect their daily lives.
My name is Brian Gottlieb. I've lived in Coney Island for the last 35 years. I'm the president and founder of Shorefront Toys for Tots, an organization that I created in my mother's memory in 1995. My mother passed in 1993 at the age of 52. And since we started, we've reached out to more than 40,000 children in terms of distributing holiday gifts during Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, sponsor child safety programs, reading programs, and doing anything we can to help children succeed in the future.
Yeah, my name is Shirley Akins. I'm a resident of Carrot Gardens. I am also a resident leader, in which I oversee a development of 689 units. That's over 1,000 some residents in my development. I also participate a lot within my community for some politicians' goals. I also have a seniors club in Coney Island, which is called Coney Island Senior Divas.
My name is Irina Roisin. I came to Brighton Beach and Coney Island in 1976 as a child. Grew up there in the neighborhood with a dream to have a dance school that would be affordable for all the children in the community to study dance and arts. And I accomplished my dream, and the school is 32 years old, and it unites the children from all different backgrounds and religions. And we are so proud because our program is called World of Dance, where we introduce the community and all the kids to the culture of all countries that live in this neighborhood.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tim Law. I work for New York City Department of Education. I retired. I worked there for 35 years. I lived in Bensonhurst almost 40 years. I am the chief advisor of Chinese American Social Service Center. I conduct a lot of workshops every monthly meetings, invite the city officials, the police officer, city, the other elect officials conduct a workshop for us. So helping our community members to get the most information. Later on, I'm going to talk about how we build a good relationship with our communities.
And you're also a member of Community Board 11.
Community Board 11 at Coney Island Hospital at JCH2.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Judge Stephen Mostowski. I'm acting justice in the Supreme Court here in Brooklyn. I'm a lifelong Brooklynite, born in Brookdale Hospital, just moved a couple of 100 yards to the west. I now live in the Midwood community with my entire family. My grown children all live here in Brooklyn as well. I'm a justice, acting justice in the Supreme Court, where I serve in the mental hygiene part. I've been involved in many community organizations, the Jewish Community Council of Flatbush, as well as the Midwood Development Corporation, other organizations before I got on the bench, and now I'm doing my work on the court.
My name is Joseph Bova. I am the Democratic District Leader of the 49th Assembly District, which encompasses the communities of Dyker Heights, Sunset Park, Bay Ridge, and Bensonhurst. I'm a lifelong resident of Dyker Heights, and I've served as the former chairman of Community Board 10 and a past president of the Bensonhurst Lions Club, just to mention a few.
So now we are coming back to the main topic of our discussion, community relations, how different communities can cooperate for the benefit of all Brooklynites. But before I continue our forum, I wanted to mention that this forum is sponsored by an amazing home care agency called Easy Living of New York. Again, I decided to invite each of these amazing community leaders because I believe we have a problem in Brooklyn. And the problem is sometimes people live across the street, even in the same building, in the same neighborhood, and they're not talking to each other. And the problem is not like language barrier, oh, they don't speak certain language. No, that's not true. Very often people speak the same language and they do not want to talk to each other, or do not understand each other, or have some kind of like predisposed views of various communities. And again, we'll start with Apna Community Center. When you say Brighton Beach, what community immediately comes to mind? Of course, Russian-speaking community. Yes, Russian-speaking Americans constitute a majority of residents at Brighton Beach. But it's a little secret, but it's not just Russian-speaking community lives in Brighton Beach. How about Pakistani-American community, Mexican-American community? A lot of American non-Russian-speaking Jews living in Brighton Beach area, and everybody else. So that's why I like hard work of organizations like Apna Brooklyn. It's called Apna Brooklyn Community Center. Each time I'm coming there, I see they service everybody, and they provide services for everybody, being like English language, for example, or like IDNYC program, or even events I saw you in the Brooklyn Public Library in Brighton First. Yes. Again, for everybody. So please talk about it a little bit.
As Ari said, that Brighton Beach is not only full with the Russian-speaking community members, it has many other communities living together at Brighton Beach area, including Southeast Asian community members, Pakistani Asians, then Bangladeshi, Arabic-speaking, Spanish, and Mexican community members, Jewish community members. Similarly, we did partnerships with Brighton Beach Library in terms of taking our community members to Brighton Beach Library and getting the services which the library is providing.
And I saw you and Pervez Siddiqui, the president of Apna Brooklyn Community
Yes,
Center in Shorefront Y,
yeah,
at a resource fair organized by Community Board 13.
Yeah, we participated in the Shorefront Y resource fair. We have already did partnership with Shorefront JCC in with their food pantry. And it is our second month that we are distributing grocery to the community members in partnership with Shorefront JCC. So we are open and we are working with all the other community organizations in better serving the community of Brighton Beach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you see, this is the example, one of many examples how we can cooperate, you know, like when we're offering services of various organizations to everybody. That's how it should be. It breaks stereotyping, you know, like I was at the Brighton Festival organized by Apna Brooklyn Community Center, and there were performances by Russian-speaking musicians.
Yes.
And like they invited everybody, and anybody from Brighton Beach could come and would be welcomed and embraced. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Thank you to Easy Living Home Care Agency of New York for sponsoring this forum. Phone number is 718-747-8685, and you will have very easy living, and you can provide better living for your loved ones, especially seniors and people with disabilities, if you use services of Easy Living of New York.
Well, what we've tried to do is to make sure that each individual's case is heard and that we provide everybody with respect and dignity, regardless of what your ethnicity is or where you're from. Our job is to try to make sure that we communicate, because communication is the best way that we can work through our differences. We have in our court different languages, so that when you're coming to court, that you're not lost in the process because you're not able to communicate either to the judge or the arbitrator what your exact facts of your case are. So we've tried to do things to make sure that when we're talking or trying to resolve the matter, that everybody understands the process. We've tried to make sure that we have made signage on the floors as you come into the courtroom.
Translation probably services.
Absolutely. So that when you're not lost because you don't understand. We've provided signs with different languages, and we've provided interpreters who sometimes we have to call and order a particular language, Bengali to Cantonese to Creole, so to Russia, Polish. So there's a range of people who help to service the community to make sure that when you're approaching a judge, that you're not frightened or that you're not making assumptions that are going to be made by you. So that's one of the things that we try to do.
And since you're a judge, I wanted to ask you one more question. Again, have you ever noticed that maybe it's an immigrant from another country where it was done differently? You know, in every country justice is done very differently, you know. And so some people coming to your courtroom and feeling that they would be like immediately ostracized because of how they look, what they're wearing, and the way they talk. How do you feel about these situations, especially when you're talking about newcomers, you know, like people who are in the country like for a few years?
Yes. And the first thing we do is not ask anybody about their citizenship, and that's one of the issues that people are afraid of. And they're also afraid that if they came from a country that the justice system is not based on juries or based on a judge listening to all the facts from all the parties before deciding. The assumption is that when they come in, you're automatically going to determine that because of how you look or where you come from or what you're wearing, that your position is not worth listening to.
Or someone already called you and said like, this is how this case should be decided. Okay,
well, no, like, we have independent judges.
Like governor, mayor, president, like Putin calling someone, you know? Okay.
No, we have independent judges who basically all have seminars to keep them abreast of the law, and then as a whole, we're all determined to give justice to the citizens of Brooklyn. So we listen to the facts, we apply it to the law, we try to balance the equities of each community as it comes in contact with the law. So we try to dispel that fear that this is, when you're coming to court, that somehow it's all going to be a negative process.
So people should not be afraid to come to the court.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
The People's Court, Civil Court, is where you can bring your cases.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Brian, I was at several events you organized, Toys for Tots in the hospital and in various communities, and you already explained why you're doing this, and you're a member of Community Board 13, you're former chairman of Community Board 13, and I know that you like to bring people together.
Well, it's not easy to do, but first of all, the underlying principle behind Shorefront Toys for Tots is a child is a child is a child, without regard to ethnic background, educational background, or any other type of category. Child in need is a child in need, and that child's need should be addressed without regard to any other factor. When I was chair of the community board, or with Judge Mostofsky serving on the school board, I was always trying to bring everybody to the table, trying to make sure that everybody had a voice and was able to express their opinion, their voice, their interests. And we realized that not every interest, goes through, not everybody gets their way. It's always a compromise. But it's important to make sure that everybody's heard, that everybody has a voice, everybody is able to express their needs, their concerns, their wants, and not to be feeling that they were shut out or left out of the process.
So you're saying that sometimes very important just for people to be able to talk, just like to express their opinion.
It's also important to listen and to be able to incorporate.
Who should listen, by the way? Who?
Everybody should listen. Everyone should be at the table. Everyone should not feel that they're being left out. Okay. Even if their opinion is not the one that prevails, but they're part of the process, and part of what their wants could be addressed the way they want it, and even if it's not the entire thing.
Very good. Dr. Shirley Akins, she's an amazing resident leader, and just recently she had a very successful family day, and she brought everybody, Russian-speaking residents of Coney Island, African Americans, Hispanic, Asians, you name it. So I know it's not easy, but your smile, your open heart, help people to feel like they're at home.
I deal with a lot of seniors because they are the most vulnerable people. They don't have anyone to listen to, who can listen to them. So I look at it like they need a voice, because their voice isn't carrying loud enough for people to hear what they're saying. And I like to hear what they're saying. I mean, we talking about history from you looking at someone who was like 80-some years old, 90-some years old. That's history to me. That's something that I'm learning. I learned all of this here from my grandmother, at a young age when I was following behind her on her skirt. And it just stayed inside me to be around older people. Without them, I don't have the energy. They are my energy. They give me the strength. Because if they don't have me, they lost. And I don't want to see, our seniors lost like this. And another thing is that
Shirley, what I noticed at your family day recently, when you came to a group of Russian-speaking seniors,
yes.
Some of them do not speak English fluently,
yes.
but they embraced you, they love you, they praise you, but a lot
which
of
is a strict discipline, and I think, and that's the only thing that is Russian. Everything else.
Could you name a few dances, because it shows that we can learn from each other.
This year we did a new Cinderella ballet, and soloists from in this ballet, 2 young children. One is immigrant from Peru, and the other one immigrant from China.
That's what I'm talking about.
The boy and the girl, and and then full scholarship. And I just wanted to say that Brighton Ballet Theater is not just a school for dance, but we also give $60,000 in scholarship to our community kids, and we bring children from public schools into our school for free workshops, and we give out tickets for our performances to the community, to senior centers, to public schools, and that's what we're proud about.
So another example, you see free scholarships for students from low-income families, up to $60,000 here, free scholarships, providing families of every background, helping children during the holiday season with toys, helping every client from every community, every country in the courtroom, and of course Apna Community Center, bringing services to the entire community. These are all examples. How can we work together? How can we bring people from every religion, nationality, so people are forgetting about their differences. They're talking about what unites us, if you can dance, if you wanted to learn to dance, any dance. You can go just to Brighton Ballet or any local school where you can learn it, and this way parents will be happy, children will be happy, and also everybody will be healthy. Not just happy, but healthy as well. So Dr. Tim Law, I want you to talk a little bit. I know you're also working with kids and with seniors, but the most important, recently you participated in a press conference against hate. Unfortunately, yes, here we have a great community leaders, but unfortunately there are episodes of hateful behavior, even unfortunately in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know what happened recently in Bensonhurst?
Yeah,
The person spent so much time trying to write derogatory comments about beautiful Chinese American community, and Dr. Tim Law spoke out against it. By the way, he spoke out against hate toward any community, not just Chinese American community. I want you to say a little bit. I know you feel very strongly about this topic.
Thank you, Mr. Kagan. Okay, United States is a melting pot. Okay, in Brooklyn, we have different ethnic groups. There are so many ethnic groups, Chinese, Hispanic, Jewish, or something like that. As an educator, I strongly believe we must respect others' culture, languages, or religions. It's most important in religion. Don't ever think that my God is more powerful than your God. That's wrong. I live in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, over 40 years, almost 45 years. Okay, I witnessed a lot of conflict between the communities. Because what? Because of misunderstanding. They always thought that. Sometimes I walk in the street, they tell me, "Hey, China man, go back to China," or something like that. That's wrong. Okay, so you must understand each other, communicate with each other, talk to each other.
To acting Supreme Court Judge Stephen Mostovsky, you're Jewish American, and if someone like Hispanic American, African American coming to your courtroom, should they be thinking, oh, he will not treat us like with respect and dignity because I'm not Orthodox Jew? I know what your answer, but still.
When I was running for judge, so you know, everybody tries to heckle you at some point in line. Now, when you're another type of politician, somebody may ask, well, what are you going to do for me? So they'll say houses, safer streets. Judge really can't promise too many things. So one time I finally came up, I said, I'm going to be fair. I never saw a look on a guy's face so dumbfounded that I actually had an answer that stopped him so quickly. And I think that's really my job. My job is to be fair and to make people comfortable. What the doctor was saying about people speaking the language, one of my most prized possessions, when my grandmother came here from Poland in her mid-20s, I have the notebook that she wrote when she went to night school to teach herself English. And is in script is all the English words, and when she couldn't pronounce a word in English, she wrote in Yiddish, using Hebrew letters on top, how to transliterate it, and I have that. So although nobody can understand me because I have a Brooklyn accent, everybody in my family was able to understand my grandmother, who came from Poland and spoke a wonderful English. And in the last year, I did a lot of traveling around Brooklyn to different areas. And one thing that I noticed the most was, A, that I had been or known people that lived in many of these areas. And the other thing was, I noticed that how much, again, Brooklyn was alike. We had the same problems in the same areas, how a lot of areas with different religions and different cultures spread into other areas, and how people needed to get along with each other.
Well, in our club, you know, our community is 51% Asian, and that is due to reapportionment, and that happens every 10 years. And we, you know, just go with the flow. We try to engage people in the community to be involved politically, to register to vote at the very least, and to be politically active as much as time allows them to be. I'm very proud that we have our first Asian American president of our Stars and Stripes Democratic Club, Irene Chu, and she's an up-and-coming star in our community. But by extension of the Democratic Club, we also, through our elected officials, Assemblyman Peter Abadi, Councilman Justin Brannon, and Mark Traeger, are able to bring funding into the communities to enhance the neglect that may have existed beforehand, and to fund programs that are needed in social services, in child services, in infrastructure.
And each time you see hate, you see division, you have to call it like it is. And again, people who are in this studio, and thank you to BRIC Studio. Thank you to Easy Living Home Care Agency for making it happen, and doing everything possible to prevent tensions and to show example. How can we communicate? How can we work together?
I am the district leader for the 47th Assembly District, which is Gravesend and Bensonhurst. You know, I like to have everybody like get together, because in New York or in America, this mostly are immigrants. People come to America and they want to have a good life. So therefore, there are so many diverse different groups. And how do you live together with so many different groups? By learning about each other's culture. Sometimes people just want to stay with their own group, but I don't think this is good. We should all learn. So we try to bring our culture to the public and introduce them. And I would like other cultures to also do the same thing. And if we have an event, I want to put it out and invite the public to come and join us.
Yeah, every day I travel by train, and train is basically New York. You see everybody. In train you see, when you're on train you see entire United Nations, you know, like, and that's the beauty of living in the capital of the world. And we all need to learn from each other, you know, like, and it's not just cuisine, it's not just like Italian cuisine or like kosher food or Russian restaurant or Chinese food is amazing, but it's also, you know, like saying hello to each other, smiling to each other, you know, like saying, how can I help you? And most of the people in New York, in my experience, are very friendly. So like my first experience, my second day in New York City, African-American young guy just showed me how to get from one subway station to another. It was completely different road. He didn't need to do it. He basically almost held my hand and said, no, 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 you don't speak English, let's go. And like it took him a while, and I was so impressed, like I couldn't explain what I want. I just said, how can I get to this subway? Our train, Rector Street, I needed. And he walked me all the way till subway station. I was amazed, and again, most New Yorkers are well known by their friendship, you know. But unfortunately, again, the reality is not everybody is like this, you know. Unfortunately, there are some people who are just jerks, you know. And but overwhelming majority are good people, good heart. And all community leaders that are speaking tonight, you see so many good examples, good character, good community projects. And we have much more in common than something that divides us. I wanted to praise again, to thank Easy Living Home Care Agency of New York, and very easy phone number 718-747-8685, even easier website www.easylivingny.com. And if you want yourself or your little bit older relatives, you know, like here everybody's saying like senior citizens, golden age, and I like it this way. So just contact Easy Living and you will have golden age, you know, like, and it's I think that the best way here to make easy living for all of us is to be able to communicate. I wanted to thank each one of you. If someone wants to say something by the end, I would appreciate. You know, I'm taking most of your time, and I got this big chair, like, and you got not such a big chairs, you know, like, but I wanted to thank, of course, BRIC for doing this show. I believe maybe it's the first show, but not the last one. Someone learned something from this one. We do not expect miracle overnight, but the best way to learn about each other is to ask questions, to learn about heritage. And this is the beauty of our city. So thank you so much. And again, I see you again. We'll try to do it all over again. Thank you to each one of you, not just for coming tonight, but for doing what you are doing, for helping every person, for bringing communities together, and for showing example. You're doing it not just by words, but by